Welcome to the Valve Studio for December 15th, 2016. I took a couple of months off of doing all my valve work. I had a lot of things to kind of catch up on in the last 2 months, but I'm back at it here. And a couple of things that we're doing is I'm actually sorting tubes. Well, I have hired a high school student here, Sigmund in Montrose, and to help me get organized. And one of the things he has been working on for a couple of days is organizing the tubes. I ended up buying about 8 boxes of tubes from an estate sale in Los Alamos about a year ago. And so he's gone through, and we're about 80% of the way through. And we have them all logged in a MySQL database, and I wrote some PHP code to do some displays. And so he's been working on that. I've also started doing some more work on the power supply design for AJ's Fullerton amp. And in order for me to kind of understand what kind of rectifier to use for that, I looked into the various models for that, and I reviewed some of my notes for that, and how things were done. How things were done when they first figured it out, which was in the 30s, and I'm figuring out how to explain that, and I'll do that in a future session. But today what I'm going to do is I have over here some speakers. I'll go ahead and show you those. These are B&W Series 3 speakers. I got these at a garage sale. Guy had he had a garage full of speakers, and when I showed up early in the morning, he said, I was the first one there, and he said, every pair of speakers in the garage is $10. And so I was like, really? So I looked around and I said, even these ones are 10? He goes, everything's 10. It's got to go. I'm moving. I got to clear this out today. So I ended up buying, ended up buying about 4 pairs of speakers in. And these are the premier ones that I got, these Series 3s. I think these ones retail for about $3,000. One of them did have a blown tweeter, so I sent it out. Where did I send that thing to? Shoot, I was going to write that down for you. I'll have it in the show notes about where I sent it. It was a speaker repair facility in Florida, and they did a great job. I got it back, put it in, and these things are great. So I'm going to use these. It's kind of crazy, but I'm using these as my computer speakers here in the Valve Studio, and so they're going to be actually behind my monitors. Because they're not better than the ones I have in the living room. So I need to run them with something. So I can go over to pull out an old receiver. I got a bunch of Pioneers and some Techniques receivers, but I was like, no, this is the Valve Studio, man. I got to get something going. So what I have over here behind me is this is a Voice of Music WM1448. I got this one at a Ham estate sale. This is a nice little unit. It's a stereo, push-pull 6AQ5 output tubes. So this is going to do maybe 18, 20 watts. I haven't turned it on. I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. We're going to take a look at just give a cursory view at the schematic. Take a look at the inside construction. We're going to go ahead and recap it, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it into production. It's going to power my B&W speakers. So if you're interested in this, stay tuned. Otherwise, pick it up when I get back to the Valve Studio to create more content. All right, here we go. All right, here's the Voice of Music WM1440. Like I said, I got this at an estate sale. It's in beautiful condition. The case is flawless, and on the back here, it's not looking too dirty. It does have screw terminals right here for speakers, and it has a impedance matcher switch for both the right and left channels, and it's an integrated amp, so there's a preamplifier and an amplifier in it. So we do have all the input back here as well. I do have some of the screws taken out already. Swipe kind of. So let's take a look at the front here. There's bass treble. There's a power switch, balance, loudness, and here's our function switch. And you can also switch it between stereo and mono. Let's quickly do a review of the schematic. I got the schematic from the Voice of Music. I think it's a Google News group. I couldn't find this anywhere, but somebody had done some work on one of these and obtained this schematic, so he went ahead and forwarded it to me. But if we start down here at the power supply, it's got a transformer that puts out the output voltage is 112 volts. That's probably assuming that 120 volts come in. It has a voltage doubler using diodes right here, and it's a capacitor filter. So it's got a RC network down here for the plates, the screen, and the preamp tubes itself. And up here, the tube complement is it's actually using 6EU7 for dual triodes. And these 4 output tubes out here, there's right and left channels. Those are 6AQ5s. And then it has the switch network over here to switch in the proper impedance for your speakers that you have. It does have feedback that comes over the top here. It's coupled into the output transformer back into, looks like the cathode of the driver phase, the phase inverter. And the tone control here looks like it's, the standard kind of T mechanism for bass and treble. Then over here, on the preamp side, we have a phono input tuner. Tuner input is like assuming that looks like has a voltage divider on the input to kick down the input voltage. Tape has got a 220 ohm resistor in series with the drive circuit, and it does have record output, so you can run that back over to your tape deck. Auxiliary doesn't have any series components at all, so that one's just fed directly into the grids through a bypass capacitor. Okay, that's that there. I have started to take some of the screws out of this thing. It has these feet on the bottom. I've taken those off. And let's go ahead and take this cover off here. It's not really that heavy. So let me get this rearranged here a little bit. Just down here. It's a little dusty, the open back, so I'm going to have to blow that out. A little compressed air. We take a look what's going on with the output stages here, because these are the 6AQ5s, and this one here is, what is it? This is the driver. The driver tri is probably the phase inverter for those guys. Okay, here's the preamp tubes. They're shielded, and this is actually shielded as well. Output transformers, power transformer. Here's the caps here. And there's shielding around the input connectors on the back. So down the bottom, let's take a look at the capacitors here. I've got most of the screws taken out, so we should be able to get to this pretty easily. Got to take these knobs off. This knob is keyed with a D on it. These ones here are just pressure fit potentiometers. The front's held on by some capacitors. I gotta get a different bit here. I think that's the one. Somehow I've lost my number 1 bit. Well, That's not good. All right, let's switch over to the. Over this guy. This little front plate is holding, it's obscuring the screws on the back side for the bottom shield, so I got to take this off. This is not an inexpensive unit. When I was reading some of the Voice of Music mailing list, those people are passionate about these devices, and I'm really thrilled to get something going in here that's vintage to power the speakers connected to my computer. Yes, I know it's not that's not glamorous, but we'll eventually do some sound checks on those B&Ws there as well. All right, on the bottom, let's go ahead and take a look at this from the bottom side. This thing is completely enclosed in a steel box, which is great. I can see why they love these things, because this thing's a tank for being a 20-watt receiver. Oh my, this thing hasn't had any work done on it. So let's get a pointer out here and my schematic back. All right, here's the power transformer right over here. So that's this guy. Put this up like this. This looks like the diodes right here. So this is the 100 microfarad 200 volt cap. Now that's got a voltage doubler in here. So there's two caps right here. There's a 100 microfarad at 200 volts and another one right here. These two are the voltage doubling caps, and this is a 0.1 at 600 volts. That's probably this one here. Yep. So what we'll probably end up doing is switching this guy. We don't need to switch that one out. We'll go ahead and measure that guy, but I don't think we need to take it out. So here's one of them, and it looks like this one is the other one. That's the other voltage doubling cap. Oh, looks like something fell off in there. There's a little piece of paper in there. What is this guy here? Yeah, this guy is the 100. This guy right here is the other 100 microfarad. So we'll just leave that one in, and we'll cut it out of the circuit. And we'll put two capacitors in for this. And what's our next one here? That's these two here. And then we got an 80, a 50, and a 30. So it looks like there is 1, 2, 3 here. We look over on this side. We got an 80. Looks like we got an 80, a 50, and a 30 in this can. So we'll leave that can in. We'll cut it out. And we have a lot of room right around here to put our caps in. And I don't have the caps in here. That's kind of weird. Hold on just a minute, and I'll go get the caps. All right, here's the caps I'm going to end up using. These are 100 microfarad at 450 volts. This ones are 200, but I don't have anything that's that big at 200 volts. I'm going to go ahead and use these. These other caps are right here, and it's actually probably pretty convenient that they're at the legs. I don't even know what they call these things. The radials, axials. I think these are axials. I don't remember. But they all need to fit around this little unit here, so I'll be able to just put these right in like this, and take this guy out and put these in over here. And this is the one I'm going to disconnect. So it looks like it's all going to fit. That's good. There's one more in here that we need to probably take a look at. Actually, just looking at these, a couple more. This one here is, what's this one? That's a 25 volter. That's probably one of these, that's probably a bias cap. That's probably the one of these right here. I've hooked off that's probably this one right here. That's the cathode bypass cap right there. So we'll go ahead and replace that. And it looks like there's two of them. There's another one here for the other channel as well. We'll rework this, and we'll come back and we'll go ahead and show you what that looks like when it's done. Then we'll power this on, and we'll see if it works. So we'll start there and pick it up here in a few minutes. Okay, got all the caps replaced. These two here are the voltage doubling caps, 100 microfarads, and the two diodes are back down in here. I'll go ahead and replace that. I replaced this guy, which is a 0.1. There wasn't much room in here to have the lid fit back down, so I replaced it with this poly cap. Then over here, I had to replace this guy. This is one of those cans that's got 3 caps in it. I replaced it with these 3 here, and there's like an 80, a 50, and a 30. And this was kind of a pain. It turns out that in all the things that I have, I don't have any of these terminal strips. Because if I had one of these, I'd have done this a lot differently. I'd have put one in here, then tied them all off and made this look a lot nicer. But this is pretty safe. You know, they're not going to move around. One side of the cap's always tied down. Then back in here, I had to replace a couple of papers for the bypass capacitors for the cathode bias on the output tubes. So I'm going to change the camera angle, and we'll go ahead and bring this guy up, and we'll first check the power doubler. We'll slowly bring it up with a variac. We'll check that the voltage doubler circuit's working correctly, and then we will check the all 3 of these, which is like this one's the cap for the screen bias. This one is for the preamp, and I think that this one's for the phase inverter, and this one's for the preamp. Okay, let me change the camera angle. There's a different angle. I'm running this off a variac here. I got turned down. It's the off, and I also have my VTVM here, and I want to look at the rise of the voltage doubler. So turn this on, and I got a little ammeter back here sitting on the input to this so that I can monitor the AC current going in to make sure that I don't have any shorts. I'm doing that instead of using a light bulbs because it's a little bit easier to read. So first thing we'll do is we're on the 500 volt scale over here, so full scale is 500, and we'll go ahead and get on the output cap here for the voltage doubler and start turning this up. And so I'm going up here. We don't see any rise over here on the input AC current, and I'm now currently at 50 volts. So that's about 50 volts on the output from the doubler. And if I look at the junction of the 2 capacitors on the doubler, it will probably be half of that, which is about right. It's about 25 volts. So that's looking good. Let's keep going. The schematic here says that when we have a 120 volt AC, the plates should be running around 250 volts. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn this up here. And so right now we're at about 250 volts now. Still no current. The pilot light over here is on. I do have a speaker connected up to one of the channels, and I have like a load resistor, looks like this, for the other one. And I'm also being pretty careful in not having this hand touch anything. So if I start pointing in here, I'm going to go ahead and use my little pointer. So I'm going to keep going up. Our schematic says the output from the doubler would be about 290. So we'll go ahead and turn this up to about 290. Our AC line voltage coming in right now is about 118 volts. So this is about where we should be. That's 290 right there. So we'll look at the junction of the 2 doubling caps. So this one should be half of that, which is about a little less, about 147. So that's looking good. Schematic says that the screens are going to run off of, let me see here, the schematic is, this looks like the screens are running at 278. So that should be this voltage here, which is right around 270, which is great. The phase inverter is going to be running around 265, which is this junction, this node right here. And that's about right. And the preamp stage is at 245, which is this capacitor over here. So we're a little high there. We're about 250 or so. So this is all looking good. Carefully without touching anything. I have an tablet over here running in. I also have my bench speaker connected up to, they don't call it channels right and left, it's this channel A. Let me go ahead and, it's playing something right now. It looks like it's John Hyatt. Now, when I hit the pause, if I turn up the volume, there's a little bit of noise in this pot right here, but that's fine. But I hear absolutely no hum up there. And so all this filtering network is all properly designed, because I don't hear anything, and I'm pretty sensitive to hearing at 60, 120 hertz. We do have a little noise in the pot. I'll go ahead and clean that out before I put this back together. But you can kind of see that it's working pretty well. So all I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and hook up my B&W speakers, and we will see how this guy sounds. Okay, I got my B&Ws hooked up here. It turns out these are Matrix 3s, not Series 3s. And they're quite tall. You know, I think they're probably 32 inches tall. And it's connected up to the Voice of Music, this WM1440. Or was it 1448? So what I got going on is I'm streaming off of a tablet from my music server. So it's the quality is coming off an MP3, but it still sounds pretty good. You know, it's this is Donald Fagen. These are going to be great. I think that most of the time, well, some of the times I'll be using it for Skype, which is kind of ridiculous, but other times I'll be listening to stuff while I'm coding late at night. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it up here on a bench. I have a reporting shot. We'll go ahead and show you my setup here for my coding, the other side of the camera, so to speak. And, well, thanks for watching. Okay, here's the view from the other side. Normally I have my camera up here, but I kind of switch things around. You can kind of see where I sit for my day job. This is my workstation. I have 4 monitors connected up to a 10-year-old desktop running Ubuntu 16.4. And I would do software development as well as hardware design and a lot of embedded work right here. I do have a lot of real estate for when I do embedded work. I need a lot of screens open. And I had to clean off the back of that desk. There was a lot of stuff back there that I didn't know about. I put up a little tiny shelf that I got at Walmart, and I have the Voice of Music 1448 sitting up on top. You can see the B&W speakers back behind there. They're quite a bit bigger than what was there. I had these little cheap, computer speakers. These sound a little bit different. Well, thanks for sticking in. I know it wasn't much today other than a simple recap, but I got to fire up these speakers and get use of them again. And I also got use of this Voice of Music integrated tube amplifier. I'm going to leave you with track number 6 off of Brothers in Arms. It's called Right Across the River, and you can kind of see what kind of sound I have to endure now. This is a song I play a lot when I want to demo speakers. It has a nice, really simple bass line. It's very clean. So just listen and enjoy. Thanks for watching.
Soldier